bam bam ba bam bam ba bam. Dum, 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 dum. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my podcast, the podcast of Elchi Tours. My name is Elchi, and today I would like to tell you the story of the Hasmoneans. You know, in this time I'm speaking around with my good friends from the United States, and obviously it's a challenging time to be a Jew. So I would like to tell you a little bit about Jewish heroism. Today with me, my good friend Alon, and Alon have a special workshop that he teach there how to shoot with bow and arrow and self-defense and many other cool stuff. So I want him to tell us about that. And also, after this, I just want to tell you like the history and to speak also about the holiday of Hanukkah. I hope you enjoy it, and welcome, and thank you very much for listening to my podcast. So, Alon, hey, what's up?
Hey, Elchi, thank you for hosting me, hosting me. And now, after we established the ground rules of what they called in English the fourth wall, if you know what I mean, it's a term from cinema. It's what we experience right now in this physical podcast recording studio. My name is Alon. I look like a dwarf. I have a long beard, long hair. I have a hat because I got bald because of all my beard very soon. Not like Elchi, who have a lovely French European blorit and a lovely French nose. I also have a lovely nose. I love my nose very much, but I have a long beard and my voice can get low. So
Tell us about your workshop.
Yes, so my workshop. We established this workshop because, as you can hear, I am, I don't know, we're all unique in our own way. I'm just a little bit far on the edge because on mainstream society, to have a store in Israel that it is by definition a prepping store. Like I am what I think the Israeli version of prepping is. Prepping is a very known term in America. People in USA know it. There is a lot of preppers in the US. There is a whole shopping malls for these kinds of people. In Israel, we do not. We have a very, let's say, narrow spectrum of stores and networks that sell camping equipment. We do have, but it's not prepping, it's more like family camping. So I took it to the prepping area, and because of it, in this October's time, where the Israeli military forces founded short in the beginning, we Chaim Bateva, we had the honor. Our business called Chaim Bateva, living in nature. Our website is Thrive Together, COIL, and we had the honor to sell what we called cold weapons to special units in the military forces. And after this, and doing me approaching the Ministry of Defense to get a permit, right? Like you have a permit to a gun, you are an official cowboy. I'm not an official yet, but I am an official archer, which is not saying that I know very good in bow and arrow. I'm an okay for a beginner, but I am a beginner. I'm mostly remembering. I think that bow and arrow is a skill that we all have. We just need to remember, which now I'm getting to my workshop because after all this journey to get a legitimate weapons to protect me and my family, I first took what I have in my store, right? Because I have a surviving prepping store. So I'm carrying on me 24/7. Except when I'm sleeping, which is also next to my bed, an axe, a hatchet, a small hatchet. I called in Shlomke. I like to name my weapons. And I have a bow and arrow right here in the studio. And this is why we decided to found the workshop called Bnei Yehuda, which is on the biblical context. Lelamed Bnei Yehuda Keshet is a teaching that David King from the last chapter, if we connect him now. So David King ordered right? To teach the Judea people how to shoot in bow and arrow, how to protect themselves. So in our workshop, which is 2 days, we invite people to sleep in a farm right next to us in here in Amikam, which is in Pardes Chana area, Chaderia area. It's like, let's say, it's not right, it's not north. How do you call this area in Israel?
North-ish.
North-ish. So it's probably the safest place to be in Israel right now. I think from all the north and south, we're in a very good place in the middle. Never had any alarm to this very day, which is why we use this time to get together and have 2 days, which we learn how to collect plants that we can eat. We make a stew from what we collect in nature, like wild. They call it in Hebrew lakatut. And after this, we learn archery from my commander, you can say, the leader of my club of archery, because it's a sport branch in Israel, archery. So he will teach us how to shoot. In the end, in the night, we'll have a feast full of meat and wine and very good. And I'm a musician. I will play and sing, and we have like a very special guest from the Israel Resistant with us. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And day after, we're going to learn in the morning after a little bit yoga or other exercise like Tai Chi. We will learn how to protect ourselves. Very, like they say in Hebrew, shura tachtona, like very practical. No matter if you know or not, you're going to get out of this workshop with actual tools. And if you even want to become an official archer. But this is where I'm ending the sales pitch and give it back to you, sir. Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that in the beginning of the war, I had a vision that we will establish like a youth movement that will be able to teach our kids some self-defense, how to protect their places where they live, mainly places next to the border, that the kids will have awareness to that and also to strengthen the Jewish identity. But anyway, the story that I would like to tell you today, it's about a family that choose to take action in a very difficult time for the Jewish people. A family that became a symbol for Jewish heroism and fighting and lighting the darkness. And one of the wonderful things about them is that till today, the whole Jewish people remember their holidays, remember the historical events, and lighting the menorah till today. It's like one of the most popular Jewish holidays, and I'm speaking, of course, about Hanukkah. And Hanukkah is celebrated for the memory of the victories and of the miracles that the Hasmoneans have. And despite the fact that, the whole story is based on the fact that this was a war of just a bit of people against like a huge army, and the whole story was built around that, but also I want to tell you here in this story is to show you how also the Hashmonite was very, very much talented, and how they saw the reality in a very cool way that really helped them to survive the difficult time and to get better and stronger and to get independence for us for the first time after a very, very, very long time from the destruction of the first temple. And after them, we didn't have independence again till 1948 that Israel was established as the Jewish state.
Which I will love later to present another similarity to today. Remind me of this 73, 72. How many years the Hasmonites were ruled?
There is an argument about that, like different way to count.
Ways. But like there is a counting of 70 something, right?
I'll set around like 80. Around 80 years.
All right. So, who were they, the Hasmonites? I mean, how they get? Who's the El Jefe, right? The Matityahu is the El Jefe.
So no. So I'd like to give you some historical background, some historical context, and then I'll jump into the story of the Hashmonite. The context is after the Babylonian destroyed the first temple, the Jews were in Babylon. 70 years later, in the Persian period, they were able to return back to the land of Israel, and they got a permit to rebuild the temple. In the temple, the highest priest, he was the leader of the people and the one who served in the temple in front of God, and he was the leader of the Jewish people. In some point, Alexander the Great arrived to the area of the Middle East and conquered it, and led to the collapse of the Persian Empire. And he gave the Jews the rights to live, to live their life, to live according to their fate. And after he died, his kingdom was divided between his generals that were fighting over the land of Israel. So in the south, in Egypt, we had the Ptolemaic Empire, and in the north, we have the Seleucid Empire. And they used to fight over the land of Israel against each other, and the land of Israel was right in the middle. At the beginning, it was a difficult time for the people of Israel, a lot of wars in the land of Israel, but they were lived the life according to their rules. In some point, the Seleucid Empire were able to defeat the Ptolemaic Empire and to take over the land of Israel. But then 10 years later, what happened? They lose in a terrible war in Magnesia against the Roman army. And this was the strongest proof in the history of the world that the Roman army is much more stronger and much more practical than the Hellenistic phalanx. They had a phalanx. It's like a soldiers with a long spirit that were almost like designed like a porcupine that attacked together. It's like was very dangerous army back in the time. But the Romans were able to defeat them, and they were enforcing them to sign up an agreement that in a place called Apamea, a peace agreement that humiliated the Seleucid Empire, humiliated the army, and took a lot of money from them, a lot of taxes. And anyway, the main way to get this money was from robbing different temples all around the Middle East, and they came also to the Jewish temple as well. They robbed that, and then after this, because in the time of it was Antioch III, in the time of Antioch IV, it was already like have to pay to the Romans. So he robbed a lot of temples, but also his empire got strength a little bit. So he really wanted to unite everyone on the empire together. And for that reason, he started to enforce laws against the Jewish religion. Why? Because the Jewish religion was the only religion that wasn't ready to accept the fact that there is more than one God. The Jews believe only in one God, invisible, and of course the pagans believe in many idols. And this was the main dispute that made the Jews rejecting the Hellenistic culture. But anyway, slowly they started to get deep in, because everyone that wanted to be important would have to speak Greek, would have to behave according to the Greek culture. And this is the reason why many important people in the Judea area started to get assimilated and start to get closer to the Hellenistic culture. And they started to push their agenda, and they were also the one that control the leadership, to control the job of the highest priest. And because of that reason, they could control everything that happened in the temple. And slowly they started to enforce the rules on different Jews. And one day in the city of Modi'im, someone came to sacrifice a pig to the idols. Matityahu, from the family of priests, rose up, killed this man, and killed the Hellenistic soldier. And now it was clear to him and to his 5 sons that it's going to be the beginning of a terrible war.
So, he did something that forced him, he had to do something. And after he did it, he realized that there is no turning back, right?
There is no turning back.
This was the turning point.
Now you need to escape to the mountain and to start to fight a guerrilla war.
And what was the moment, the famous moment that he crowed, who to all favors of Jehovah to me? I don't know how to pronounce it in English. Mila Hashem Elai.
Right there in Modi'im. Mila Hashem Elai. And all the people that wanted just joined him. And this is the moment where he started.
It's a very, very famous calling. It's maybe one of the most famous called, except Shema Israel, that echoed through our history.
Mila Hashem Elai.
Mila Hashem Elai. Many heroes scream this. Mila Hashem Elai. All the people of Jehovah after me. This is very, very strong calling.
Very strong calling. But anyway, they were escaping in the area of the mountain and started guerrilla war against the Hellenistic army and the Seleucid Empire army. And they had lucky that back in the time the empire started to collapse, so they had a very big rebellion and a big war from the area of the east because of the Persian. The Persian rose up and started to fight against their empire.
So you have Persian, Greece, and Romans.
No, so there wasn't Greece. They were living
Hellenistic.
They were Hellenistic. They called the Seleucid Empire. They are in the middle. From the west, they have the Romans,
And from the
east,
east,
they have the Persian, and in the south, they have Judea.
And the Persian is Xerxes, is the one from...
No. It's like much later. Much later.
After the 300 movie, the Thermopylae battle.
After that. So anyway, they were starting to collapse, and this was a good time for rebellion. They figured that they were able to do it and to fight against this empire, and they started the first war. Matityahu was very old. He was an old man. He died shortly after, and his son Yehuda. Imagine yourself like a family of 5 very strong warriors.
Like the not dream just team. Priest.
The dream team of the
Matityahu, the El Jefe of all Israel. Back in the days, the priest families, they were the one calling the shots, right? Not the prime ministers and politicians, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The one who worked the God.
So Judah was hero, but also he was like a perfect commander, very smart leader, very smart commander. He really knew like what to do in a difficult time. At the first war, he used the fact that he knew how to manage to navigate in this landscape. He knew how to fight against the mountain.
Do you hear?
Yeah.
Do you hear the airplanes?
The airplanes.
The battle, the combat airplanes.
They go into up north. But anyway, the thing is that he knew that for the phalanx, when we get into the mountain, so the passages there are very narrow. So they will have struggles and challenges to pass through this narrow path. And in this place, he chose to attack. And this is the first war that he were able to defeat the Seleucid army. But it wasn't still like the actual Seleucid army. It was more like a locals that were loyal to Seleucid. Now in the second war, he already had a chance to defeated them again, and this is where he got the sword. Now they started to figure that Yehuda, the Hasmoneans, are a real problem for them. So they send a better army to attack. In this time, they sent their army. The army was based in Emmaus, and the army of Judah was based in a place called Mitzpah. Mitzpah is not only the place where we can see there the grave of Samuel the prophet. It's also a place where it's like a very beautiful lookout. Really watch the whole area, and it's like also a very important place. It's a place with a historical connotation. Some of the judges include Samuel himself. He judged Israel and started the wars there in the Mitzpah, and they fast and they started to cry for God to save them. And the Hellenistic army was down in the valley in Emmaus. What Yehuda did, he made them think that he is there in the base, so he made them attack the base. He chose another path, he went from another path, he attacked and burned their base. So imagine yourself that they're walking all the way up the mountains, about 30 kilometers, and then they turn, they found out that they attacked an empty camp, they turn around and they see that their camp is like burned. So when they were already on the way back, and they immediately, their army just like collapsed. They didn't have a camp to go to. They were exhausted. Yehuda attacked, and so this was the first war when he won and became the actual leader of the Jewish people.
Like in one sentence, what did he did just now?
What he did, he just like he knew the landscape so well. He used it. He used support of locals, and he was able to defeat a very strong army in a very smart way.
Together, right?
Yeah.
Together with the element of surprise.
Together with the element of surprise.
You can destroy anything. You can win anything.
But also being connected to your land. Yeah. Being connected to your land.
Know your land state.
Yeah. But anyway, this was the first war, and then a lot of people started to join them. In the war after this, the war of Betsuri, were already able to purify the temple, and this is the reason why we're celebrating Hanukkah. He still had problems with the Seleucid Empire because they were still strong, so it was like a back and forth, many like different wars, about 4 more. In the last one, unfortunately, the war of Elasa, Yehuda didn't survive. Of course, we have also the famous war in Bet Zcharia, which is in the area of Gush Etzion, in the place where we studied together for Mani and Makor Chaim, in the valley, down in the valley. This was the place where was the famous war of Bet Zcharia between the Hellenistic Empire and between the Hasmoneans. And this is the place where they fought elephants for the first time as a war machine, and Elazar came and stabbed the elephant in his belly because he thought this is the elephant of the king. The elephant died
Died
on
on
him
him.
and crashed him, and this is how he died. And this has happened just like 5 minutes walk from the place where we were studied together in Makor Chaim in
Whoa.
Gush Etzion.
Yeah. I didn't know that, man.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, bro.
And in a fight of Elasaf, unfortunately, like
Do you think maybe we are the Hasmoneans reincarnation?
nah, I don't think so. No.
Why not, man? Look
But-
at you.
But anyway, after Yehuda died, two of his brothers, they were able to take over and to keep the lead the people. But they were in a very, very low situation. Like the rebellion almost failed. A lot of people, because they got back their rights. Antioch, one of the reasons why he all the Jews like volunteered to join this rebellion was that Antioch tried to enforce a lot of rules against Jewish identity, against the Jewish religion. He said that it's forbidden to observe Shabbat. It's forbidden to circumcise your son. A lot of things in the Jewish religion was forbidden because he wanted to assimilate the Jews into the Hellenistic culture. He failed. And one of the things, after they canceled those rules that Antioch made in the times of the kings that came after him, many Jews said, okay, so if there are not rules on our religion, it's okay, we don't want to fight anymore. But the brothers of Yehuda, they were keep fighting because they said, no, we not want only that, we want independence for our people. So they were in the area of Tekoa, also another place where we studied together, and they were fighting from the desert and attacked the Seleucid Empire. They were staying in the area of Jerusalem, and the Seleucid thought that they will be able to control the Judea area by their loyals, the loyal people that were loyal to them in the area of Judea. And they thought that they were based in Jerusalem, but the Hasmoneans kept attacking them all the time, till the Seleucid Empire figured that if they want this area to be stable, they must give the leadership to Jonathan, the second leader after Yehuda
died.
After Yehuda died. So he was the first leader. He were able to get the independence, kind of the independence for the Hashmonite, but anyway, the main one got the independence after he was murdered. And by the way, none of the Hashmonean sons die in a natural death. All of them were murdered by the sword. All of them were killed some way. So he was murdered in Acre, by the way. And then Simon, immediately his brother, took over and he started to lead the Hashmonite Empire. And then...
so maybe we're not the Hasmonite
no,
reincarnation.
we are not. We don't want to be. But he was able to establish the Hashmonite dynasty. They were a dynasty of a priests. And after this, in some point, they took two of these jobs, two of these professions together in the same time, which is not allowed according to the Jewish tradition, to be a priest and to be a king together in the same time. Because king is someone who make a lot of bloodshed, and priests need to serve God in the temple, which show peace. So the problem was that after the Hashmonite established their dynasty, in some point they wanted also they became too greedy. They wanted to do both, to be the king and to be the priest. So the Jews started to reject them, and in this time, some cults started to escape to the Judean desert and establish the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea called the road, the Dead Sea calls,
the Isim,
the Isians and stuff, that
so
kind
the
of stuff.
Isim
It started in the
were
time of Alexander Yanai.
the rebels against
The culture.
the former rebels who became the system.
Yeah, but imagine yourself also another thing, that back in the time, the Hellenistic Empire was based on on a sword, someone strong that conquer a country, and everybody must be loyal to him because he's a stronger man. Imagine yourself that here, the Hashmoneans, they were establishing like one state. We were all participated in this effort to get independence for the whole Jewish people, and this is why it was so special. But the thing is that Alexander Yanai, one of the kings of the Hashmonite dynasty, not only that he was too greedy, he was also he had a lot of mercenaries because he wanted to conquer more and more land. And he also was stupid enough to cancel a very important agreement that Yehuda himself actually accepted, a peace agreement with Rome. He was the one who canceled it and went towards the Persia, and it started to get stronger. And because of that reason, after this, when Pompey conquered this land, we wasn't in the side of the Romans. We were in the side of the enemies, and this is the reason why we got not a very good treatment. But
So I mean, if he didn't cancel this peace agreement with the Persian, probably what do you think could happen?
we could get a better conditions with the Romans.
And still remain whatever until we would eventually become Rome.
Yeah, just get more time, a bit more time.
Now this is funny for the conspiracy people because the eagle of Rome, right? Rome, like they say, didn't die. She just transformed himself, right? They transform transform themselves into the modern what? The modern USA. I mean, this eagle showed up a few times in history, right? Not just on the flag of the Romans, also the Nazis and the USA, which is an enemy, one of each other, right? They fought each other. Both used the same flag.
I think a lot of culture choose this animal
It's
because
not flag; it's like a symbol.
It's a symbol. I think because also it's like an animal that shows
Like it was a very
power.
famous symbol of Rome. This eagle, the golden eagle of Rome. Right?
The main like a symbol of the Romans, of the Roman army that conquered the land of Israel and destroyed the temple was pig actually. There was a pig. So but anyway,
but if to be accurate, the American one, it's not an eagle. It's a Eitam Levan Rosh. It's a different bird.
It's a different bird. Yeah.
Just to be accurate. So.
But anyway, so after the time of Alexander and we had one of the most special queens in the history of the Jewish people, Shlom Tzion Alexandra. She had her time was like the golden age, but unfortunately, after her time, her two sons that stayed alive, Hyrcanus and Aristobulus. Hyrcanus was weak, but he was the oldest. And he was also the highest priest in the time of his mom, but Aristobulus was the favorite of the army, so they supported him to become the king.
So Elazar ben Hyrcanus, called after the Elazar.
No, it's a different Hyrcanus, different one. But anyway, both of them. So after that, Shlom Tzion died, Aristobulus took over. He became both the king and also the highest priest. But in this time, one of the most notorious characters in the Jewish history got involved. Antipatrus the Edomite, his family converted from Edomites to become a Jews, and he was the one that had the main impact on Hyrcanus to go to cooperate with the Nabateans who lived in the south and to go to attack Aristobulus and to get the kingdom back. Now they were strong enough to defeat Aristobulus, and they made a siege around the Temple Mountain where Aristobulus found a shelter. And then in this time, Pompey was already in Syria. So 3 main groups of the Jewish people were sending people for him to get different conditions and to make them judge who will be the ruler of Judea.
Now,
Hyrcanus sent one.
This is after the Hasmoneans already finished?
This is the end. This is right
This is the end.
This is the
All
end.
right.
So Hyrcanus sent one and said, I deserve to be the king. Aristobulus sent one and said, I deserve to be the king because I have the loyalty of the army. And the whole Jewish people sent one and said, we don't want both. So obviously Pompey won a weak king, so he put Hyrcanus to be the king, and the one that was responsible for the relationship between the Jews and between the Jews and the Romans was Antipatrus. He got involved, and eventually he got his son the work to be the next king, and he was the one that actually killed all the Hasmonite dynasty. And the Hasmoneans, they tried to revolt again and again, and they got the independence also for 3 years in the time of Matityahu Antigonus, that ruled for 3 years because of he got the support from the Persian. But in the end, the Romans came and they put Herod the Great to be the king.
So
but
just a second, you just said that after this this character you just talked.
Like Pompey the Great and the 2 Hasmonean brothers.
No, after they lost everything, they rebel again.
They rebelled again and again and again.
And then one of their sons, named after the great Matityahu, the first one,
he was able to rule for 3 years.
Wow, this is interesting.
But then the Romans came and they enforced them to accept Herod the Great to be the king of the land of Israel, and he was the one that make us fell under the Roman regime.
Okay, so this is like the end.
The end of it.
The end. All right.
some of the kings that were after this in the area, like Agrippa, for example, he was belonged to the Hasmonite dynasty somehow, but he was more connected to Herod. And the thing about the Hasmonean was that in some point there was the ones that adopted the most the Hellenistic culture because they were greedy. They want to be like them. They want to be like kings in a level that they are almost gods. And this is the reason why they were failed. Instead of be like, the first president of the Jews, the first Hashmonean rulers, they were called Nasi Chever HaYehudim, like the friend of the Jews.
Yeah.
Like the first one among his people. But then the other sons of the Hashmonite dynasty, they want to become like Basileus, like the Hellenistic king that can control everyone, and he is the law himself. And this is the reason why they fell. But as you can see, till today, we are celebrating the holy days of Hanukkah. And I think that the main message of the Hasmoneans is if you can get up and to do something, you get up and to do something, you're ready. The history of the Jewish people will build by people that were ready to get up and to sacrifice everything.
Including kingdom, become king itself. I think that in the Kabbalah they say, Malchut let la megarma klum, which says that one of the things that to get it, you need to give it up, is control. If you do want to make magic, you want to pray for miracles and make them happen, you need to let go and trust God completely. And when you do trust God completely and you truly lose control to the story, you start realizing that already have been written. And most of these stories are not mainstream narrative. No way that all of your stories go towards academy, and there is no way. You have a very interesting, different stories you need to find, but it's already have been written. And when you give it up, when you give yourself up to God, you get control. So in the same matter, if we took it to the Hasmonean in story on contact, they lost because they want to take something that is not them to take.
Yeah, they wanted. Right? They want to take the all power and the all honor for themselves. And but anyway, as you can see, till today we're celebrating the holy days of Hanukkah. I love.
We like it very much.
But by the way, I also want to tell you that I'll send like in the different WhatsApp group, I'll send like a link for a Zoom that people will be able to join me to my Hanukkah candlelighting in my house.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I cannot deliver the flavor of the good like latkes, levivot that my wife made.
Also, you have other Tunisian stuff, right?
Yeah, we have some, but mainly my wife, she's Ashkenazi, so we go like the Ashkenazi.
Let them explain the listeners. You have the modern sufgania, right? The original sufgania, which is like circle with the riba in the middle. With jam in the middle. And you do have the Tunisian, they have something else. It's look alien-like. It doesn't have a regular shape. It's shaped differently every time. It's just it's something mushy you throw into a burning oil, and it's just turned into sweet thingy.
Yeah, wow. I have a crave for that right now.
Wow, man.
But anyway, so my wife making more Ashkenazi. I'll bring my uke. I'll play some songs. We'll light the candles. I think it's like super wonderful. And against people, I would like to remind you like that we're going to host here like a different people. I really want to build this podcast in a very beautiful way. There is a lot of project that I would like to build. I would like to, to make my vision, take my vision to the next step. And I really want to make this podcast very valuable for you. So if you are able to support us, to help us to produce more excellent value for you, please get into our Patreon account and feel free to support us. The people that will, become subscribers, they will get some different benefits, different things that will help them to get deeply more into the history and to get more knowledge.
Also, if you do listen to this podcast, we will give you a discount.
Oh, yeah, this is super nice on Bow and Arrow. If you're coming to Israel to get some Bow and Arrow. And also getting to our website.
On the Bow and Arrow specifically, I am not the one who make them, so I cannot do discount on the Bow and Arrows, but I do have a shitload of like axes and knives and whatnot.
Get yourself an axe to tour in Israel.
We have a pink colored spray gas. Like they say in Hebrew, mamtak layeled. They say they laugh. We have to laugh on those things because it's either laughing or crying. So I choose laughing most of the time. But we do have discount for listeners in our stores in Chaim
My
Bateva.
clients, Elchi Tours, thank you.
Thrive Together, COIL.
I also want to say you're welcome to visit in my website www.elchitours.co.il, which is, and also if you want to have a tour in Israel, you want to come to visit in Israel. So
If you want a custom-made tour to the very high society,
thank you, man.
stinky rich listeners who listen to us right now, this guy can build you one.
So come to tour with Elchi Tours, of course, and keep listening to our podcast and keep to support us. And thank you very much for all of you to be here. Thanks a lot. Love you all.
Yeah, love you guys. And he have a gun, so you be safe.
I don't have a gun actually. I have a spear gun.
You have it's a gun. You had a gun. You do.
I don't have anymore. But I'm trying. I'm thinking about getting a new one. Maybe self protection.
But you had once today, right?
I had.
You had once a gun.
It was heavy and a bit old, but I had one. Yeah.
I'm trying to get one. Like you, we both I think in the same position. We both now. You know to relicense, right? You need to relicense, and I need to get license for the first time because I didn't thought I need one. I mean, truly. But not just that, you can boxing. I want to mention that every time. So
come to a license of a sparring. Yesterday I did a sparring. I think I broke my finger. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's like a Turkish coffee, things that you don't know why people like, Have herring for the morning, just like for Russian people.
All right, thank you very much. Next time, what are we talking about? Next time?
Next time, every week we will,
we'll choose a subject.
Yeah. All
right, we don't want to obligate ourselves. Obligate is the right word.
We'll see. We are in a time of a war, so we need to be flexible with that.
Yeah, sometimes flexible also is the words I'm inventing, which you don't know because you don't know my kind of inventing words. I just do it because I don't know English so much. Thank you for those who listen to us. Again, Elchi Tours, COIL or .com.
Yeah.
COIL or .com.
COIL.
Elchi Tours, COIL. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.